Hello, Bulldogs. My name is Alexis Montgomery, and this is our first kind of feature for Mental Health Week. We're going to be having this pre-recorded Zoom call with some of our favorite teachers and faculty members here at Mount Vernon High School, and we're going to be answering some of the questions you guys left us. And here I have with me is Adam, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Adam Wagenbach. I am the spirit director. That is my ASB position, and I am here to help out Alexis in this Zoom meeting. Yeah.
All right, and if our wonderful faculty members would like to start by introducing themselves as well.
Hi, I am Paige Bird, and I am the College and Career Specialist at Mount Vernon High School. I have been a school counselor going on my 10th year, and am happy to be here to answer your questions.
I'm Hanine Castro. I'm the 9th grade counselor at Mount Vernon High School, and I've been a counselor for a few years now, and prior to that I worked at Seattle Children's in the mental and behavioral health department.
Cool. And I'm Robert Hand. I teach family and consumer sciences and leadership at Mount Vernon High School. Some of the classes that I teach are life after high school, careers in education. I teach health and beginning leadership. And I've also taught in the food lab before as well. So a whole bunch of different stuff.
We have some wonderful people here, as you guys can see. So I think with all the introductions out of the way, now we're going to get into some of the questions that we have had from students. The first question that was asked to us anonymously was, at what point should students seek professional help for their mental health?
Yeah, so, we really want students to know that at any time they can ask a trusted adult for help. And there's a lot of people out there, whether it's a teacher or a school counselor or a parent, a mentor, your family doctor, lots of resources out there. And there's no right or wrong time. If you feel like you need some additional help, then please ask for that help. We know as just some mental health guidelines that if things are impacting you on a daily basis, you're not able to do the things that you normally did, that's certainly a good time to get some extra help. Anytime you have concern with substance abuse, changing in eating or sleeping habits, any of that would be a key that, maybe you need some extra help. So, but please know that we're all here and I'm happy to talk you through any concerns you have.
So it seems like that was pretty concise and well covered. So Adam, if you want to ask the next question.
All right. Our second question is, what are some good coping skills for when students are feeling alone and isolated, especially at night?
Yeah, so I'd be happy to speak to that. I know that the feeling of isolation is very real right now, especially during this pandemic and quarantine and things. So we want to make sure that you're kind of social distancing, but not socially isolating. So the difference there is really just making sure to connect. We recommend spending time with your family members in the home and connecting with friends through video chat and ways to see each other in real time without actually having to be together. Keeping yourself mentally healthy by having a good routine, eating well, exercising, those are all things that should also help you relax at night as well. And if you're having kind of these feelings particularly strong at night, I would say try a guided sleep meditation. There's a lot of free apps out there that have that you can have access to that type of thing. It'll walk you through different things that will help you get to sleep and help you relax. It's also a really good way to start your day if you want to try it that way as well.
I'll add into that as well. And I think that sleep is super important for all of us right now. I think a lot of us have gotten onto some kind of different sleep schedules, whether on purpose or not. And I think it's important to try to stick to routines as much as possible. That's something that's really helpful for me, is to continue to get up in the morning like I normally do, keep my alarm set at least Monday through Friday, like I'm going to get up and go to school anyways, and get up and shower and get dressed and do all of that stuff just like I was going to do on a regular basis. That's something that helps keep a little bit more of a sense of normalcy in your life, and also can help you to keep better sleep patterns, which is definitely impactful on your mental health. And then I would also say, specifically at night, I think a lot of times we find ourselves when we're trying to go to sleep at night looking at our phones. And while it may seem like looking at our phones and being on social media and things like that can be a way for us to connect, sometimes it's a way for us to feel more disconnected as well. Not to mention the fact that the light from your phone when you're trying to sleep is disruptive to your sleep patterns. So trying to get off of the screens like an hour before you're going to go to sleep not only can help with your actual physical sleep, but it can actually help you to not feel maybe so disconnected from things that you're looking at on there at that time as well.
If everybody's ready, I think we're ready to move on to the next question. The next question is, are there certain people who are more likely to develop mental health disorders or illnesses?
I would say it's kind of a yes and no on that, because really anybody can be susceptible to a mental health disorder or illness. And I think what we need to think about really is when we talk about mental health as an overall term, we all have mental health that we need to take care of. A lot of times people think that just because you might not have a diagnosed mental illness or disorder, that you don't have to worry about your own mental health. And the reality is, just like physical health, we all have mental health. And just like, you know, in the physical world, people might have a diagnosed physical disorder. Same can happen with a mental disorder. And while some of those things can definitely like run in the family and you might be more susceptible to them because of that, it doesn't always mean that there's a significant group of people or a specific group of people that is going to be more predetermined to have a mental illness. It can hit anybody at any time, you know, kind of without warning. And there's nothing wrong with you if you have a mental illness or disorder. Just like if you have a physical illness or disorder, there's nothing wrong with you in that way. And I just think a lot of us feel like we have this stigma in society that we don't treat mental illness the same way that we treat physical illness. Like if you have symptoms of the flu, what do? You go to the doctor, you get treatment, you're better, and people don't make you feel badly about it. But with mental health, it's a totally different kind of a thing, the way that we perceive it. So I would say that you know, it can hit anybody, just like a physical illness can. And it's every bit as important that you recognize what the signs are and be aware of your mental health and be aware of what it takes to actually take care of your own mental health on a regular basis, to kind of help take care and make sure that your ongoing mental health is in a good position.
Okie doke. On to the next question. How can students facilitate conversations with their parents about mental health?
So I can answer that a little bit too. Just, you know, I think kind of to what Mr. Hand was saying is just taking away the stigma a little bit. If you can do that on a daily basis, even just starting with like, how am I feeling today, and having those conversations, it can make it a little less stressful because you're just talking about your mental well-being as a whole. And if you can kind of facilitate those conversations early, you know, I think part of the point of May mental health awareness is really to kind of break down that stigma and make it kind of a more regular conversation. I know that, you know, a common theme with talking to teens and their parents is like, a lot of times it can be kind of scary. It can kind of feel like, how are they going to react and things like that. But something that I see as having facilitated that conversation a lot of times, or helped students make that connection with their parents, is that parents really care and they want to help you. They're usually really relieved that you came to them for help. And I think that they're willing to do whatever they need to make sure that you're healthy in that way as well. If you need help facilitating those conversations, then you can always talk to a trusted adult or a school counselor or something like that. We're happy to help with that as well.
That was really well said. Yet again, we're having some really good answers and contributions. I think we're ready to move on to the next question, which is, what are some tips you have for students who want to become mental health professionals?
So I will take that one because I am the college and career specialist. This is what I do all day long. So, you know, I talk to a lot of students and they're really interested in the field of counseling, mental health, psychology. And it's always interesting because as I talk to them, we uncover just how many different professions there are within that field. So, you know, the spectrum can be from a drug and alcohol counselor, family therapist, you might hear mental health counselor, social worker, psychologist, psychiatrist, there are a lot of different people that work in that field, and they work in different ways with different populations. And so my advice would be to sort of look at that as a cluster, and then sort of look into individually what those professions are about and get a feel for what each person does, and then decide where that fits for you. Keep in mind the education that's needed for each of those professions that I just listed, which is not a complete list, but it's a start, are varied. For instance, you can become a drug and alcohol counselor with a certification, and that's a fairly short program. And then the other end of that spectrum is a psychiatrist, which is actually a medical doctor. So they went to 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, and then did anywhere between 3 to 4 years of a specialty to become a psychiatrist. So you can see that there's a big difference depending on what you'd like to do. But just like any career you're interested in, do some research and then use me as a resource, or your counselor or teachers. We're here to help.
Anything else that anybody would like to add to that? All right. Cool. Well then, now that that one is answered, what are some mental health resources that MVHS provides or will provide in the future?
All right, yeah, I'll speak on that to begin with. I think that one of the best places that you can start if you're trying to find mental health resources specifically from MVHS is our amazing counseling office, because even though we're not on campus where you can go and talk to your counselors right now, they're still available. And they have a website that's available that has information and resources listed there as well. So I would say, like, a lot of times we get the feeling or impression that just because the school building is closed, that school is closed and out of session, and that's just not the reality. We're just dealing with it in a different way. So all the people that were here for you before when campus was open are still here for you now, just in a different capacity, in a different way. So I would just kind of encourage you to think of that first, and to just think of those human resources that are available through the school. Any of your teachers, your counselors, administrators, any of the people that were there to help you before are still here and happy to help you in any way we can. And then I would say, as I mentioned, they have a website. I'm looking at it right now. If you just go onto the Mount Vernon High School webpage and then link to the counseling center from there, you're going to see, I'm looking at it, there are resources just down from the top of the page that say there's a 24-hour Skagit County crisis line that you can call if you need it. There is a 24/7 mobile crisis outreach number. There's a suicide prevention lifeline. There's an organization called I'mHurting.org that's linked on there, where you can text to that number and you can do chats on that as well, and I'm sure anonymously. And then you can also link over to the Centers for Disease Control and the National Institute of Mental Health. They have newly updated resources available on the national level. The ones I was just talking about on the school counseling side are more local level. And then I also know that, the updates that we've been sending out, Dr. Wadawa has been sending out newsletters and updates, and including local resources in there as well for things, not even just mental health, but physical resources, food, local resources that are available to help people in this trying time right now as well. So I would say, like I said, start with the people first, connect with those at school that you would have connected with before. Check out the counseling website, look at the local resources there. And then I would say the Centers for Disease Control and National Institute of Mental Health are two good national places to look for some additional resources.
If anybody has anything else to add, or I feel like that was pretty well covered. So the next question would be, what pieces of advice do you have for students who constantly feel anxious or stressed?
So I can speak to that. We all have a lot of stress right now. I think that that's a relatable theme. And so it's important to know that you're not alone, to reach out, to have those conversations again with a friend, with an adult. And then really just what we've honed in on is all that self-care we're needing right now. Take care of yourself physically. Again, focus on mental health and make it a positive. and just know that it's normal and valid to feel stressed right now. And you know, we all need one another. Like Ms. Castro said, we are social distancing, but we do not need to be in isolation. And I think that that's just another important message to help us all deal with this stress.
What are some healthy ways to practice some self-care?
So I actually have some of the CDC recommendations kind of pulled up, and I think that there are things that most of us would suggest also. You know, one of the top ones is taking care of your body, whether that's deep breathing, stretching, meditating, eating well, kind of like Mr. Hand was saying, just keeping on your normal routine, exercise regularly, get good sleep, avoid drugs and alcohol, those types of things that cause more stress to your body. Taking some time to unwind, disconnecting from the news or social media, things like that, that can be really overwhelming right now, and connecting with others. And then one thing that I find really helpful and recommend is journaling. And, you know, if you don't have a good place to start with journaling, or if you have a hard time kind of getting your thoughts and feelings out on paper, you can always start with gratitude journaling, where you kind of write down 3 things that you're thankful for every day. And that is proven to lower your stress levels, help you feel calm at night, get new perspective on what's important. You know, and by noting what you're grateful for, you gain a little bit of clarity on the things that you have in your life. And it helps you just focus on the positive.
Yes, and to add on to that, we have a lot of facilitated ideas on our Instagram right now for our main feature of Mental Health Week this week, virtually at least, is just self-care. So we have a lot of different challenges that are going up each day on the ASB Instagram that are some pretty easy, simple ways that you guys can practice self-care while we're in these times. So be sure to do that as well.
I think that if you think about the phrase that it's better to give than to receive, I think many of us would agree with that, and it's a proven fact that doing things for other people has been shown to significantly boost your own mood and mental health. It's kind of a double win, because when you do something nice for somebody else, it makes them happy and makes them feel good, but it also makes the person that did that nice thing feel happy and feel good as well. And so, you know, Alexis was just talking about like some of those challenges. I've been doing a challenge on the Instagram page for ASB, just a quick little kindness challenge each morning. And it's something that you can do where, like, it's not just kindness to yourself, it's kindness to others. And it's things you can do right now during this time. So I would say check out some of those and see if those are things that you would be willing to do. I think that you might find that they're a little bit fun. There's something different. There are ways that you can connect with other people that you might not think about yourself. So it kind of gives you like the idea without you having to come up with it. And I think that you'll find the more you start to do those things, the better you start to feel. Not only does it then connect you with other people, but it makes other people feel good as well. So I think that that is something to keep in mind for us right now, is like being kind to other people is a win-win, because it's also then in turn being kind to ourselves as well.
How can students tell if they are feeling stressed or feeling anxious?
So we've, you know, covered a lot about just your sleep habits and daily patterns. I think when you start to feel like you're not able to stay focused, you're not in those daily routines, maybe you're too engaged in social media, those kinds of things, we feel a little bit out of control with those in those moments, and that can add to our stress. You know, I think feedback from family and friends, just checking in and how are you doing, and you seem overwhelmed, and it's okay to say, yeah, I am. You know, those are good check-ins with each other. And also, you know, the things that we've suggested, the journaling, just sort of that tapping into your own mental health, and ask yourself, you know, how do I feel? Am I feeling stressed? And that would be a great gauge as well.
I think another thing that you can pay attention to as well, that's a good indicator if you're feeling anxious or stressed, is to kind of think about what kind of things are bothering you right now. And are you a lot more easily annoyed or bothered by things that you might not normally be? I think we're kind of all thrust into this environment of being at home all the time with a very limited number of people, and not always the people that we necessarily choose to be with, which sounds terrible because that's our family. But we don't choose our family though, right? And it doesn't mean that we don't love them and that they don't love us, but we can all drive each other crazy a little bit, even without being cooped up together. And then once we are like forced to be just with that group of people every day, every minute, you might start finding yourself being irritated or annoyed by things a lot more quickly than normal, or by things that normally wouldn't irritate or annoy you. And you might find yourself reacting in a different way, maybe a little bit more harshly than you normally would. So I would say if you find yourself doing that, that's a good clue that you might be anxious or irritated or feeling stressed at that time. And that would be a way for you to kind of take some time away in whatever way you can. Practice some of these self-care tips, try to get yourself feeling a little bit better. And then don't be afraid to apologize to people if you did lash out at somebody. I think we all understand that this is a difficult time for all of us, and that we're all in this together, and that's the only way we're going to get through it. So if we just show some grace to ourselves and grace to others, we can ask them to show some grace to us as well. And just like take care of each other, right? Like take care of yourself, do some of these things to do that, and try to take care of each other. And, you know, when you do lash out, just you know, take a break, get yourself in a better mindset, apologize, and move on, you know, to the next day.
Our last question, this is a kind of very broad one. How can students take care of their mental health during quarantine?
So I think, you know, what Mr. Hand just said there at the end is knowing that you're not in this alone, asking for help, you know, really, we aren't physically in the school anymore, but we are all still here for you. And so anytime you need to reach out to a teacher or a staff member or counselor, just know we're here and we're here for you. And you know, we all are going to get through this together. It's just the truth. So you know, do your best to do these things that we're suggesting, but know this isn't easy, and know that you're gonna not always be perfect at how we're all managing this. But we are all here for you, and we're here to support you, and we care, and we miss you, and we'll all see you guys real soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just, you know, I want to say too that I will make sure that we get some of these resources posted on the school counseling website, maybe this video and stuff too, and other additional resources that kind of link to some of the stuff we talked about, like keeping a routine and exercising, eating well, those types of things that can be really helpful. And we do miss you a lot.
Yeah, I'll echo that as well, that we miss you guys a ton. It's been really, really hard not getting up and going and seeing your faces every day. And it's I think the hardest part of all of this really is just how much we really miss you guys. And I would say that the first and probably most important piece of advice about how to take care of yourself is just don't be so hard on yourself during this time. Like it's not a normal time. All of us are going through different things right now that none of us have really ever experienced before. There's a lot of unknown. It's scary. I think that it can be stressful for a number of reasons for all of us, really. And I think that the more anxious and more stressed we get, the more hard we are on ourselves sometimes, and we don't give ourselves as much grace, maybe even as we do other people. You know, they always say you are your own worst critic. And I think that now more than ever, you need to show yourself some grace and some kindness, and don't be so hard on yourself. If you are working and trying to take care of siblings and sharing devices to get work done and all that, like stuff starts to add up more and more. And let's say that you fall behind for a week on your homework or something, and then you're more stressed and anxious because of that. You know what? Don't be so hard on yourself. You're not the only one that that's happening to. And I think you'll find if you're reaching out and communicating with your teachers and staff that we are here to help. We understand, yeah, I can speak for myself. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I'm pretty sure that most, if not all of everybody else is probably going to say the same thing, that we have due dates on there for a reason. But if you miss the due date though, like, don't be like, oh man, I missed it, now I can't do that week's work. And because then that just builds up and piles up more. I would say try to get a schedule that you can keep track of. One of the suggested ones is kind of like, out of all your classes, pick 2 for each of the days, like Monday through Thursday, if you're able to do this. I know everybody's schedules are crazy, but if you're able to do that, 2 classes a day, Monday through Thursday, to focus on. That leaves you Friday then to kind of catch up if you didn't get anything done, if you had questions and you needed help, whatever. Just like a suggested schedule to help keep up with it. But then, like I said, like if you fall behind or things aren't going well or you don't understand or whatever, just reach out, talk to us, let us know what's going on. I think that you will find that we are all understanding. We're all here to help you. We want to help you get through this in the best way possible. And so just don't be hard on yourself. It's unknown times right now, and we all need to have some understanding for ourselves and everybody else. And we really love you all and miss you a ton. And we are, like, I'm sitting here in my office like every day behind my computer, just like getting work done and everything. And as soon as I hear from us, I'm like, hey, that's what I'm here for. And I come in and check it in the evening. I check it in the morning. I'm in here during the day, taking breaks in between. I'm trying to take care of myself too. And I know everybody else is working hard during this time too. So I don't know, just be good to yourselves and be good to each other. And we'll all get through it and see each other again soon.
Well, that was really wonderful responses from everybody. That was our last question. So I just wanted to thank you guys, the 3 of you, for coming in and answering questions and being so insightful and helpful and thoughtful. It was really nice having you guys. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We miss you.
We miss you guys too. So I think that is everything. So that will be the end of this little workshop.
Awesome.
Cool.